have done it, but nobody eventually did it. Somebody got very angry about that because in the first place it was everybody's job. But everybody thought anybody could do it. But nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. In the end, everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. Mistake already. The story about roles and responsibilities when they're actually not identified. What actually ends up being the problem? When it comes now to questions of accountability, questions of liability, because all of us expected somebody to do it, none of us actually did it. But what happens when the hammer starts to fall? What do you think happens? When the Prime Cabinet Secretary opened this meeting, he kept saying that the days of Waziri and Sema are long behind us. Now I want you to listen to a second story. Before I ask my wonderful teammate, Claire, to step in and start telling us about questions of what these duties and responsibilities are. Listen to this story. A crow was sitting on a tree. The crow was doing nothing the whole day. Then a small rabbit saw the crow and asked, "Can I also sit like you and do nothing for the whole day?" The crow answered, "Sure, why not?" So the rabbit sat on the ground, and like the crow interested, all of a sudden Hyena appeared, jumped on the rabbit, and ate the rabbit. What is the moral of that story? To be sitting and doing nothing, you must be sitting very high up. You will not get away with what someone else will get away. Later on, I think I had the chair and also the Honorable His Excellency the Prime Cabinet Secretary was telling us. No offense to the politicians here, we saying we politicians are very dangerous. Because when the problem comes, you will find yourself alone. Kila mtu anaweza Honorable Chair was a singer who sang, na tumesahau huyo Mkenya kwa anaimba kila mtu atabeba mzigo na tumeongeza msalaba. Kila mtu atabeba mzigo na msalaba. This session is about helping us to understand what are our duties, what are our roles, and what is our responsibility. What are these duties? CS Cabinet. What are these roles? We have chairpersons here, we have CEOs, we have corporation secretaries. What really are they? Okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols observed. These roles, I believe, have been covered in one or another in this meeting, and I'm really grateful that for some reason our session was moved because we just have to ice the cake. But more importantly, after my co-presenter has frightened you about your cross, I want to bring you to the attention of why you are appointed. Does everybody feel the importance of their appointment? Hands up. 3 hands. 7. I'm expecting the whole room. Because you are the people and your colleagues that our co-presenters spoke of in the morning, that Kenyans are trusting to move things. So by the time you are reached by whoever reached you, whether it was by recommendation, when you received that phone call, it was a call to duty. It was a call to duty. So it is not coerced. Was anybody coerced? Hands up, we can, I think, verify that very quickly. There are people in the room. Anybody holding the position by force? You wanted to hold this position, am I right? So you answered the call of duty, and it is an honorable call. Just so that you know how important that you are to this country in your role as a chairman, a director, even a CEO or corporation secretary. There's an element of trust. And so, there are members here who have held various positions in state corporations in the past. Anybody who's newly appointed, this is their first run? Hands up. So there are newbies in the room. And I wish they would be able to share with us an experience. When you got the call, were you quick to say yes? Yes? Without hesitation? You didn't ask, what am I supposed to do? Am I doing it? Why?
CS government nimesikia kumeandika jambo from the honorable chair. We sky commission a very confidentiality to have to ask him. He asked this question. If you have a chance to say no. Let us hear from you.
Yes, I think perhaps chair, you give us an example of your past, possibly not your current, but when you given a choice, it's say yes or no. But ladies and gentlemen, I say this to the seriousness that you're called to these roles, and why you're taking it through this introduction is to understand just how much you hold in your hands when you're executing these roles. So when you answer these calls, and they will come in the future, from now on, take a moment to just do a bit of research. Even if it's the 5 minutes. Remember the emotional intelligence, what Kathy was speaking about? Your emotion immediately when you get that call is to say, the excitement is about I'm going to be this person, right? No? There are people who had a 5 minute, 9 seconds time to think about it. I don't know, so that's food for thought. But now that we are here and we hold these positions, we have roles. Just, I think back to what has been spoken about in the morning, what your board responsibility is. So you're there in your individual capacity. You walked in there in your individual capacity. The gazettement did not read Dr. Mutuma and others, and the others. It read your name and the other person, correct? And the Kenya Gazette is a public document which is available to all Kenyans and the world. So your appointment was made public, which is such an honor. You also serve as members of boards in your own companies, some family companies, but you're not accorded the same level of announcement. Am I right? Yes or no? Yes. Why? Because the trust that is being put in you by the structures coming down from His Excellency, all the way down, coming down to your appointment, regarding your position, is heavy. Therefore, the gazettement. So I want you to appreciate when you're walking in the room, to walk in with your authority and everything that was spoken about, who you are, get to know your teammates. But as Dr. Mutuma was indicating, you're walking in alone. And when the rubber meets the road, you do what? You face it. So there's the individual responsibility and collective responsibility. So we look into that. So I think that's just a summary of what the board and the chairperson do, and I think this has been covered. This is also the CEO and corporation secretary. I will not repeat what has been said by presenters earlier today. But these roles are there in the Mwongozo Code of Conduct. I just want to re-emphasize what FCS Catherine was saying and FCS Kioni. Please get this document and read. It's not a long document. If you want to go to your place where it says duty of a director, read that. It's a very short document, so you know it is a staple. This should have been given to you the moment you stepped into office. And this would be what you would have checked on. But as we are thinking about our future appointments and whether to quickly say yes or whether to say a record in 5 minutes, Dr. Mutuma, who are these 3 gentlemen?
This is a very interesting cartoon. The military president of the LSK is here now. Can I see this is happening in the courtroom? Where is it there? Can you read it from there? Are you able to see the words?
Yes, the first caption is how to use your force as a
I wish there was a mic to be there to any extra mic. Yes. There is a mic that is coming there. You want to hear it very loud and clear. This happens a lot. The lawyers in the house are always in settings where you have these parties. Yes,
Thank you, Mwalimu. The first caption is, I believe that is by the prosecutor of the defense counsel, saying, how could you swindle those good people who trusted you? And the accused person's answer is, you can't swindle people who don't trust you.
You can't swindle people who don't trust you. Now there was a research that was done on the chair about people who are trustworthy and the most untrustworthy people. Who do you think is amongst the most untrustworthy people? Wale huwezi kuamini hata kidogo. Whatever they say unajificha tu. Who wants to try a guess? Let us, yes, there is my colleague there. Just see if your guess is as good as mine. And they had an index. You know the UN is always doing this research. Yes,
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm Kioni.
Yes, sir.
Currently at the Capital Markets Authority.
CMA.
CMA. So I think people you can trust the most are politicians.
Let us not go in that side. Politicians have made a name. They can have a video played and they say that is not me. I did not make that statement. Who else falls in that bracket? What do you think the research said? Okay, militaries, can I see here this is going to hit us bad. Militaries, where I see my militaries president. Can I see also Council here, Masi a few of the lawyers who are in the house? There's someone saying, if you kill the bankers and you kill the lawyers, you will have a prosperous society. Anyway, that is a light touch. Now, the question that we are asking, and I think I forgot to ask, who do you think was something who is considered most trustworthy? Your guess? It is Daktari. Any doctors here? Although there was a time in insurance the doctors were playing games, isn't it? You could lose your leg or have a C-section because question of what it costs. At the heart of what board members carry is a term that our learned friends in the house are going to help us explain. Fiduciary responsibility. Fiduciary responsibility. I was joking the military earlier when I was telling my friend Leonard, you have to master a few Latin terms because Latin has a way of distinguishing you from the Raia. He said, my colleague here, Professor Kioni, the editors, I hazard a guess. What does the militants mean? Those of you who are counsel, lawyers in the house, what do the militants? Fiduciary. Anybody? The militants might have to help us again. Fiduciary responsibility. You have a fiduciary relationship. What does that actually mean? Sandra. Yes, Honorable Director, here you are.
I think it's taking care of somebody's child the same way you take a fifth as serious as your own.
That is very, very powerful. It is a position of stewardship. You are carrying a property and responsible for it, even though it is not yours. Now that is not a rare relationship. We see it everywhere. There are many, many people that actually identify a fiduciary responsibility. What those groupings of people are advocates. And we have several advocates in the room. Advocates have a fiduciary relationship with their clients. And you are meant to sleep when you know your matter is being handled by your advocate. You're not meant to have dreams about the job that he's doing. You remember there was a time, how many of you sleep once you have released your check, your conveyance, you are trying to buy, I don't know what, a program that is 700 billion, na umepatia nani check? Umepatia wakili, na unalala. You sleep? My good grandmother said, someone says you're sleeping kalala na macho moja. Even in the most intimate relationship, you find that the connection most of the time is fiduciary. It is there, the relationship is there that you can see. We will come back to the director and the board and fiduciary relationship as far as shareholder is concerned. We know who that shareholder is, we learned earlier. Trustees, we have trustees incorporated in certain instances, in other instances not. Then the beneficiary, the guardian, and the what? Many cases of adoption, you find that relationship there. The investment advisor. In fact, many of the corporate governance standards have been in this area of the investment advisor and the client. And sometimes professionals, including audit firms, accountants, have actually violated that financial relationship very, very, very badly. And then, of course, the agent and the principal. Now, I don't know who has ever given a power of attorney to someone. I think our diaspora people have really tried in this area. Unajenga nyumba na unapatia one of your brothers, your cousins, your uncles, your relatives. The power of attorney unamwaga pesa, and every time you're being sent to the US, maybe you're somewhere in New York, California, unatumia picha. How much speaking to Kenyans about in another country? As you receive your pieces, you are saying, what a wonderful mansion I have. What happens when you land at JKIA as you're driving? What do you see and what you had been shown? Nyumba ya matope, and that tell you how many shillings short. Maybe even 10 million shillings short. A fiduciary relationship occurs, and at the center of it is this thing called trust. That goes beyond just what is the letter of the law, just such. It goes to many, many other areas. What areas are these? Caroline, when we talk about a fiduciary relationship, what are these other areas that our honorable board members must be aware of? Very well.
A board works just like your home, and I think that was presented earlier today. the same way you run your home or the church group you're in or whatever organization, if there's no trust in that group, then things will not work out. So in the same way, for those who are parents, your children, if they are below 18 or even above, trust when you promise something that it will come true, correct? They don't know how it will be done, or they say, don't worry, I'll take care of it. This is the trust we're talking about here, where you're expected to act in good faith. In good faith meaning you are acting on all the information that's been provided to you. The interests of your stakeholders come first. You have disclosed your conflict of interest. Mention was made on the conflict of interest rate. I think it was that there should be a register of conflicts of interest, which should exist and which you should all know. And why has that become a recent addition to governance? Because of the bad manners that have been there before. I am a member of a board and we are purchasing a building, but that building belongs to my uncle. Nobody knows that that is my uncle or my uncle's business. So what will I do in the board? Will I influence for the purchase? Very strongly, isn't it? So when you disclose and when you go into what a conflict of interest is, it's quite wide. It goes into spouse, relative, children, etc. Just so that they know you're not acting conflicted. Sometimes the matters that come to you as directors are very weighty and you're being required to make decisions. So we want to make sure that you're not burdened, and it is not wrong to have an interest as long as it's declared. Because what will happen is, depending on what the setting is, you will either be recused from the discussions on that, or you will not be in the committee for purposes of argument's sake. But that duty means that you will put the organization, the state corporation, the company, and its stakeholders first. And sometimes you have to go on against your own interests. And when that happens, then you must be very clear on what the decision is and why you're taking that stance. Which is why there was a discussion about board dynamics and emotional intelligence IQ on how you apply that, because this happens in real time in a boardroom and you have to execute the conversation. Provide full disclosure. I would rather have somebody that I know 100% how we're working with, isn't it? When you go into a boardroom and you don't know the hats and or what the cards the other directors are holding, is it a difficult conversation to have? Or do you find yourself it's easy, you all agree and you sort of know? Anybody? You can shout. In my experience in boardrooms, and where I am mostly an observer, having been a corporation secretary and company secretary, sometimes the mood in the room is in the four colors that were presented earlier. Some just want to be quiet, some are quick, some know what's going on, but on that basis, you're required to make a decision. And what I want to underline this, Dr. Mutuma, is your name is under that decision. So you must participate. If in the future you are called upon, say for example it was a project commissioned to do a particular thing by your corporation, that is your mandate. It was executed. If you say, I am just there ceremoniously, I was here appointed, I'm happy, and therefore I just go for the meetings and I go home, I don't read my board pack, somebody somewhere will make the decision. Already, you know, what we are trying to say is somebody has already made a decision. The decision that is passed in your tenure is your responsibility. And it doesn't go away, ladies and gentlemen, when you stop holding these offices. Chairman has had an experience, he shared with me on the lunch, where he was called long past his tenure to answer something that was happening at the time. So when you're long retired, and we have very senior members here, want to recognize the gentleman sitting in the front. Please stand up and wave, just so that you can see, and you can see how long it's taking to stand. By the time this honorable gentleman has said, please face the crowd, has accepted to hold office, how much knowledge do you think he has? He looks like he's just quiet information. But when he's walking into the boardrooms, he knows. So how long have you done served in the state corporations?
I started as a chairman for Liabilities.
Say it again?
1977.
1977.
Okay.
These are the people that when we say network or a team, go say hello. He has a tale or two to tell you how I banked my fingers here, we did well here, I have learned, and he's still here with all of us, still learning. So board members, let's continue to learn. There's always new laws, things don't remain the same in your environment. So just to say that you must know what you're doing, and for this, sorry, I didn't get your name. My apologies, I am humbled. Professor. So professor to be sitting here and still learning is to show you that knowledge never gets old, and there's always something new to be learned, and there's something that you always forget. And the grouping and all these other things that are learned, which is why we have election these days mandatory for all state corporations. So Dr. Mutuma, I think you have something interesting to say about this.
Indeed. Carol and growth, you know, to get the attention of people, Professor, in your many years of teaching, ukitaka watu waamke, ongea about, and the exam shall be about. In the university, I am a teacher, and I have taught since 2004. And I know if the students that are sitting what I have to say, and this one might come in the exam. I think we need to introduce an exam on a lighter note. And also, what the students are very, very interested in is how to pass that exam. What is the pass mark? Sometimes you hear people say, is it 51 or 41? Now, this is what we must think about every time we hear about liabilities. Now, the lawyers, quite a number of lawyers in the House, will tell us about standards of care. We've heard very, very clearly from C.S. Carroll that you're talking about duty of skin, you're talking about duties of loyalty, you're talking about questions, about good faith. This is expected of board members, but a person will ask, to what extent to do the right thing? To what extent will I be assessed as having done the right thing? Can you see that cartoon in front of you? What is happening there? Can you see the cartoon? What is happening? Yes, my good sir, what is happening?
I can see there for our first selection, everybody has to take the same exam, please collide the key. So we are rather going to start colliding the two. That's what I see.
And who is going to win this exam? It is labeled a fair exam. And it is not fair. I think the talking about us as board members. Our good colleagues again from the legal profession will say, when we start ukimulikwa, it is an objective standard. But they are also going to look at the level of skill that you have as a board member. So, are you an accountant? Do you understand numbers? And that objective standard, if you are an accountant and your colleague is not an accountant, will be very, very different. They will be judged on the basis of that capacity that they have. I'm surprised all of you said the mark will win. Mwingine anasema huyo ndio alishinda. You see that call there? So I don't know whether the mark was a bad to win. But in all of these standards, there are repercussions. And that is actually what I would like CS Harold to tell us. What happens ukianguka mtihani? What happens when your report form shows the pass mark was below, you went below the expectation of the pass mark? Is there any consequence?
So the comfort is you're in a board of members. And the skill set is in that action. And if you could put that up, because I think a lot of our, do we find ourselves sometimes in this situation? I think some of the relatives in the morning, you just walk in, you don't know who you've been appointed with, and suddenly you all look different. And you're expected to make a decision. Believe it or not, this board will be very effective if their mandate is somehow navigate the terrain and lead us to the ocean. Do you think they will do that as a board? Advising each other? Do you think so? If they have to go through a forest, you have to see ahead, somebody has to climb a tree. So these are the board dynamics that was spoken to before. So when you've been appointed to the board, you're of a particular skill. There's a reason you're there. And we are hoping that when that question comes to how far can we go, is the terrain clear? It will be the creatures that can go up the tree. The monkey and the crow will go up and look and say, no, let's take another route, correct? Will the fish contribute? They will say, actually my expertise is in the ocean. When we get to the water, all of you guys, you need to just listen to me because you know. So this is sometimes, and a lot of the times, how boards are composed. So if you find that this is the leveling of the skill, now where boards fail and then you end up in the unfortunate circumstances where there's compliance and liabilities, is where you are the elephant. You are might, you are the chairman. We were trusting you to give us direction, to moderate the other members. So all this will come up. You can be held liable. There are many acts, and I think this is spoken to before in this forum. So you are held individually liable. You're summoned individually sometimes with your fellow board members. But this goes to mismanagement, negligence, and you will be called to task. The chair shared something in the morning where he says they were asked about something by His Excellency, and he said, are you sure? Can I appoint a task force to go and investigate? Because of the confidence that the team had and the board had said, yes, by all means, appoint the task force, because we know we did our best with what we had. So if you don't have the confidence to do that, that means then you will face the repercussions of this. And I think the one thing I want to drive home is the individual responsibility. Again, it will be yourself as an individual, even if you're being summoned or taking this on the board. Sometimes it is one person who is held accountable, and you're summoned by whichever authority. As a good board, you put in place whistleblowing, codes of conduct, so the citizens have ways of watching. We are all looking. So all you need is one person to report to the ESCC. The ESCC will be here in these forums, and then they conduct an investigation. So we want to make sure that you're well covered in this ways. So be aware of your roles. You're doing it in good faith with all the information you have, and therefore you are not negligent. In which case, then you will be on the right side of the law.
What you have said has made me think about these liabilities. And I want to finish with a story. When I was in school, this is a story about the crop and the rabbit. When I was in school, believe it or not, Honorable Chair, I watched a lot of people get away with things. Kama nini akiona shule, they would run out, what do you call it? We used to call it gate X, the schools are gates. But every time I would try to do that, who is like me? See, we that is the day the master is looking for me. Even when I was a child, the other children would come, Mama, made like it was they did. All the siblings have done it. The day I do it, guess what happens? Hiyo ndio siku unapatikana kwa nikiwa ndani kabisa. And so what did I learn, Carol, from all of this?
Take your roles seriously. Please read. There's a lot that we covered in this session and others. You have corporation secretaries, CEOs. If you feel you need additional information on a particular area as a board, as part of your almanac, you can ask, can we get more training? Can we get more information on this? Just so that we're more knowledgeable. The training is not comprised of just an induction. Please continually develop yourself. That's part of Mongozo, that you should do this continuously. If you feel there's an area you need to learn, shout. Tell your corporation secretary, your CEO, they will provide the necessary support for you to be an effective board.
And remember, personal responsibility. Knowledge is given, but with knowledge comes responsibility. I want to repeat before we close. Chairperson of the session, the Prime Cabinet Secretary told us, we will not be able to share this responsibility and say, Waziri amesema. And the Honorable Chair of SCAC came in later and said, and we also would be able to say, with the knowledge, that, my secretary has messed me up. Vertigo, both up and down. I want to complete, I wish I could sing this song that we used to sing those days. Kila mtu atafanyaje? Atabeba mzigo wake. Asante. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this opportunity. I listen very carefully to Tanya and Carol. But it is usually the top management and some specific disciplined persons in the organization, when things go wrong, who are picked and see charged. And once we use about more than the individual directors and the chairman there. What you have just said is as if it's a new development. I think that needs a bit more explanation. We have seen recently, very recently, that the oversight agency just come scoop the top and charge the courts. Now, the other one, because I'm a CS, the company sector is signatory to each and every contract. in an organization. They were things many years ago. And checks, and in such documents are carried there, so these things you're talking about. I don't know what I want to ask about that, but is that where does that leave the accountants? The fact that he is a signatory, and I know instances where the secretary has been held responsible, even though he signed a document, contract, or a check, which had been checked by everyone else, or the disciplines, if it's an engineering organization where I was company secretary, for example, to be checked by lawyers and engineers and legal consultants. What's the position of a company secretary in that situation? Taking the fact that everyone has to carry work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I'll take the company secretary question. Having been a practitioner, and Dr. Mutuma will take the other one. But as a company secretary and having been in that capacity, I developed a discipline. These are as a personal experience and how I have done things is to be certain that when I sign it, I have read it and I am comfortable with it. And I can sleep at night knowing that with my signature there, I know exactly what I am signing. So sometimes there is no time. A document is brought to you very quickly, everybody has checked, you have the final signature. We're waiting for you to move. What are you questioning? So with time, you just need to see if you're actually appending your signature there just as a matter of procedure. But as we have learned, it is not procedure. You will be held accountable for that document. So prudence would be, and when we sit as a corporation and company secretary in forums, in ICS, is to say what should we check, because we as company secretaries find ourselves in this predicament a lot, where you're told that everybody has checked, please sign. So nothing stops you from reading and checking and being sure that this can be done. Otherwise, then you have the discomfort of, I am signing off documents that I'm not sure. So it's a personal sort of capacity that you need to just build, and I think for other corporation secretaries, that you know what it is that you're signing. I will give you an example very quickly of a practice that I got for, and this is from lawyers. Having worked in the private sector, we would go quickly to lawyers to say, certify for me a document as a true copy. How many of us have needed a passport or something, and you just need a lawyer's stamp that says this is a true copy, right? Many of us. But there was one particular lawyer that I would go and she would say, I need to see the original, because I need to know that everything I've certified, I have seen, that if I'm ever called upon, I know I saw the original. Otherwise, obviously, we're quite happy to take the 2,500 or 500 to certify, but that is not the good practice, because then you're signing off something that you should not say. I think that is what I'll say very briefly, that is just what is the capacity you have in yourself and the comfort that what you're signing is correct, because you're going to be held accountable for it. I don't have to, and you can take your question.
My senior, FCS, just money. And I know he knows the answer, but a good teacher also asks the student a question, knowing what the answer is. I think the trend in which liability was occasioned is exactly like you have said. Initially, it was easier to fry the small fish. Management turned out to be the small fish, and it was easy to put them. And for various reasons. The politics of the prosecution. Yes, we did an affair in principle, justice system, but there are various hurdles when it comes to actually prosecution. And you're right, FCS, that trend has started to shift. And it is no longer the small fish that sit at ease. But even you, who is up in the hierarchy of responsibility, what is clear, FCS, going with what I learned growing up, is whatever happens, whether the prosecution, whether DCI, whether ESCC, will exercise a discretion that allows you to escape, make sure that you genuinely did the right thing. And the right thing is clearly spelled out by the roles, responsibilities, and the duties that board members have, which is the duty of care, good skill and care, questions of negligence, questions of good faith, and questions of loyalty to the enterprise that you have been given to steward. In fact, they say so long as you can establish that you discharge your duty, even if the outcome might be wrong, but you exercise due care and skill, you are not congregated in a conflict of interest, and you honestly were operating with good faith, you will be covered. I choose in matters of this nature to play on the safe side, and not like I learned in my school days, to play on the edge and hope I will escape. But yes, I think we're in agreement there. Thank you very much.